Hi, so let's play a Sudoku puzzle. So the rules of Sudoku are that you must fill in each square going all the way across with the numbers 1 through 9, going up and down with 1 through 9, and then within each little sub-square area can have 1 through 9, but the digits cannot repeat. So what that means is if we're looking to put a number 1 up in this top square here, this one here does not allow a 1 to show in any of these 3 squares. This one here does not allow for these ones. So that means the number 1, can only appear in these 4 places here. So if I want to, I can actually put these things in. This is called notes. And say that I know 1 can go in one of those places. And then I can look at each other section and check. So over here, because this one is here in the bottom, a 1 could be potentially in one of these spots. A 1 is already here, don't need it there. On this square here, we can't put a 1 in these 2 squares because of that one. And going across, that just covers this and those 2. So 1 could go there or here. Going further down, all these are open and available because this one stops, so I can put a 1 in any of those. And these things that I'm putting in are called notes. And if we wanted to, we could go through this whole puzzle and fill in the notes. So this middle one, I can put 1s. And the key to Sudoku to remember is that this is not about math and adding. This is about logic. You only place numbers where you know that they can go. So going down here on the bottom, a 1 can go kind of everywhere, and then we put it in these 2 spots, but not here because there's a 1 right there that stops us. And putting in the notes, we can go each number by each number and do this. So with the number 2, we can see that this one actually is going to let us put a full number in, so we can't put a 2 in the top line because of this one. And this bottom 2 here stops us from here. So it can be in one of these 3 spots, but then we have 2s down here, so it can't go in those spots either. It can only go in this one spot. And it's by logic that we know that that's the only place it can go. So let's see if this helps us with anything else. So a 2 can't go across here, and it can't go up and down, so it's got to be either here or here. And then over in this area, there's a 2 here and a 2 here. And see, if we tried to put a 2 in, it would say that we can't put it in because there's a 2 blocking us. But we could, eventually a 2 could go there or here. So I'm just adding the notes. And then going down, there's a 2 here and 1 here. So 2s could go there, and that's it. Now we can keep filling in these numbers like this for notes. But the easier way to do this is we can tell the computer or the phone to fill the notes for us. So now to put all those notes in. So now when we click these numbers, it will show you the numbers that are filled in and any of these other squares containing a note that has that same number in it. Now, if you run into a situation where there's just one number like this down here, it has to be that's the only number that can go there. And if we wanted to check it, we could check it by just looking here and saying to ourselves, okay, the number 1, it can go here because I can check up and down and look across the side and within this small group. So 1 can go here. If I try for a 2 can't go here because there's already a 2 in the subsquare and there's a 2 in this line. If I try for 3, there's a 3 already in this subsection. If I try for a 4, there's a 4 already here. A 5, there's a 5 in this row here that stops it. A 6, 1 inside that small section. So see, if we went through all these numbers, the only one that would be left would be a number 1. So it has to be a 1. So now we're just going to look across and see if there's any one of these subsquares that just has a 1 by itself, or a square that's highlighted blue by itself, which we don't see it. So then I just moved it 2. And I'm kind of looking for the same thing. There's 2 different ones here, so I'm not sure yet where the 2 goes. Same thing down here. Let's go to 3. So with 3, kind of the same thing. I'm not sure where the 3 is going to go yet. Too many choices still available. 4. Okay, so 4 is kind of the same thing. Still too many choices available. Let's go to 5. 5, this gets interesting. So right here is the only place a 5 can go in the subgroup. So I'll go ahead and click 5. And notice that when I do it, it clears out the 5 from all those other areas. Now, here's something interesting. Right here, it has a 5 by itself, which means that has to be a 5. So I go ahead and put that in. And then now, there's only one 5 over here as well. So if you notice, it's clearing out all of these until I get down to where it's got a 5 in each one of these squares. And then this number here tells me how many are filled in is 9. And it changes to a green color because that means it's all the way filled in for 5s. So there's no more 5s available on the board. So now I'll move to 6 and I'll do the same thing. I'll look to see here's one that's only a 6, or this is the only place a 6 can go. So I fill it in. Same thing up here. Now down here, it's trickier. Notice that there's 2 different spots that 6 can go, so I don't know for sure yet by logic where it can go, so I'm just going to move on. So with 7, oh, here's a 7 by itself. So I'll fill that in. And down here, there's a 7 square highlighted. That's the only place a 7 is that it can go. And then up here, I don't know yet for sure. So I'll just move on to 8. And I'm just kind of going through and through regular logic. If it's by itself, like right here, I know I can click and fill that in. Down here, there's 2 I don't know yet, so I'll leave that alone. Oh, look, up here, it's by itself. Okay, and I'm kind of stuck, so I'll move on to 9. Oh, look, here's a 9 by itself. And another one. And here's one that's with a 4, but it's really just a 9 by itself. And as we go down here, we don't know yet where a 9 can go. Now through logic, we can look ahead a little bit and figure it out. Like this situation here, a 9 can go here or here. But if you look over, so this 9 covers all the bottom squares. And this 9 covers this section. So the only place here a 9 can go is in the middle. Because of that, we know that this cannot be possible. So the only place a 9 can go in this section has to be up here. And now we're kind of stuck over here, so we'll leave that alone. And I just like to go back to the beginning, so I go back to 1 and see if there's any 1s that are available now because we've cleared other things out. And sure enough, here's one by itself. And do we have another one yet? I don't think so. So I'll go to a 2. And how's 2 looking? Here's a 2 by itself. That's great. So I can populate that. This 2's by itself also. And See, it's letting us get done. We're done with 2's. Now, what about 3? Here's a 3 by itself. And here's another 3 by itself. And that helped clear out this one. And then I think we are kind of stuck. So we'll leave that alone. We'll move to 4. Here's a 4 all by itself. And here's another one. And another one. And then here, this is interesting. Notice that there's a 4 here or here. But right here in this square, the only place a 4 can go is on these 2 sides. Because of that, that means that there's no way that a 4 can go here. Because if either one of these gets filled in, then this is not possible, which means this is the only place it can go. So I can fill that in. Over here, this one's by itself now. And look at that. We're done with 4. 5's already done. It has that 9 up at the top. Let's look at 6. And can we do these 6's? Oh, look, this one here. Okay, and then 1 left. And that's it for 6. Now let's try 7. See how things are just kind of all falling together. And we're done with 7. Now 8. There's a couple 8's by themselves. 8's done. Now 9. And then now we're left with just 1 and 3. And we are done. I hope you enjoyed this playing Sudoku. It really is by logic only. You should not be guessing. And there's no math involved. Please remember that when you play this game, you do have some options here. You can turn the show highlights on that I did. And what it does for you is now when I click on the board, it helps you to see the places where that number can go or where it cannot go. So if I wanted to put a 2 somewhere right here, and I click 2, it's showing me that a 2 cannot, if there's a 2 in any of these orange areas, then this 2 cannot go here. So if you notice up above, there's a 2, so it can't go where I just put that. And also remember that it'll fill notes in for you, or you can do it manually. And then you can go through and play the game. So I hope you enjoyed this and play some Sudoku everywhere. Thanks.